Hello and welcome to Global Thinkers. I'm Wang Guan in Beijing. Today, it is our pleasure to have with us Professor Bert Hofman. He's the director of the East Asian Institute at National University of Singapore. He's also the former World Bank country director for China, Korea, and Mongolia. Professor Hofman, it is our pleasure to have you with us. Professor Hofman, China's economy grew by 12.7% in the first half of 2021. What is your reading of this figure, and what does this tell you about the potential trajectory of China's economy?
Well, China, of course, did very well in containing the impact of COVID-19. And already last year, it was one of the few economies that showed positive growth at 2.3%. First quarter was an enormous jump. 18% growth, but that was, of course, because the first quarter in 2020 was quite dismal. The second quarter is more normal, and that is 7.9% growth. That's more or less what was expected. Quite a bit of dynamism. If you look at the quarter-on-quarter numbers, they're quite positive. So it seems that China is well on track to have a very decent growth rate, about 8.5% growth this year. Well more than Premier League Chunk's minimum 6%, and that's a very good sign. There's some issues, if you want, with the growth. It still relies quite a bit on external demand. Exports have been doing really well, but that's in part because the rest of the world hasn't yet fully recovered, and so that dynamism will dissipate over time as the rest of the world start producing again and exporting again. And second, consumption has still been lagging. It's been doing okay in the second quarter, but overall consumption growth is still not the real driver of the economy that the authorities would like to see.
Yeah, why do you think that's the case?
Well, there's a couple of things. So one is because household incomes have not fully recovered yet. There's been a number of sectors, especially in the services sector, that have not yet fully recovered. They have not yet all rehired all the people that were employed. And so there's a bit of lagging there. Second, because of China's social safety net is still not complete. Some people felt and feel that they should save more. They should save more to be prepared for any other eventuality in the future. And that means that they consume less as a share of their income. Third, even though overall the household sector has recovered quite well, as in other countries, it has been quite uneven. And those that are highly educated, work in the high-tech sector, they do really well. And have gotten a boost, frankly, from COVID-19 because there's so much more demand of their services, whereas others don't do so well. So income distribution has taken a bit of a hit, and that's not that good for consumption either. So there's a number of factors that drive this issue of consumption lagging the overall recovery. Some of it will be resolved over time, but others are of a more structural concern. And again, in the 14th five-year plan, it's well recognized, but there's a whole range of reforms that need to happen to get consumption up as a share of GDP. Right now, it's below 40%, which is really quite low compared to the rest of the world. Household consumption, that is. It's really quite low compared to the rest of the world. Most countries, it's 55, 60% or even higher, and it's an important factor in demand. So that switch that China is only at the start of will take time and effort, and it will take reforms in the social safety net, in the pension system, in the hukou system, all those factors that would in the end result in a higher share of consumption in GDP.
How do you think China can tap into its indigenous growth and indigenous innovation front when it comes to boosting productivity through technology, given America's intention on containing China?
Well, it's a very central question for today, and I think China is well underway to emerge as a technological superpower. In some areas, it's already leading. If you look at photovoltaics or solar panels, if you look at high-speed rail, if you look at electric vehicles, China is ahead. In some areas, it is compatible with the United States and with Europe, say in artificial intelligence and others. But then in a whole range of other areas, it's still learning, it's still behind. China is now investing almost as much as Europe, not as much yet as the United States, but almost as much as Europe at 2.3% of GDP. So it's catching up. At the same time, technology and research and development is also a long game. You don't learn it overnight. So if you look at it in a longer term perspective, what China has invested, say, over the past 25 years, that is still much less than, say, the United States or Europe. So China is still catching up in a whole range of areas. And that means that openness and international exchange is still very, very important for China. If that's not there, if that's not possible, it will have to rely more on domestic innovation. And of course, China being China, they have recognized that. And the 14th five-year plan has this focus on technology, on spending more on the foundational technologies, the basic technologies and research that drives whole new areas of technology, such as integrated circuits, and also the organization of China's R&D industry, if you want, is part of the five-year plan. So as they say, necessity is the mother of invention. And I think China now finds it necessary to rely more on its domestic technology, and it will do so. Of course, it's still a loss. China is still behind in, say, integrated circuits. The most sophisticated chips, China cannot yet produce because it still doesn't have the technology to do so. I'm from the Netherlands. There's a Dutch company that makes lithography, ASML it is called. It's a very sophisticated technology, 35 years of experience in building that technology. And of course, China is still a little bit behind, but it will get there.